Introduction. I'm passionate about the emotional well-being of dogs. This book will teach you how to use the latest version of behavior adjustment training, a tool that I developed to help dogs and people live better lives together. For those who read my original Bat book, released in 2011, you might remember that I called Bat a work in progress. I have continually strived to fine-tune the protocols I use. I've made so many changes that I no longer feel comfortable having clients read the older book. That meant it was time to write a new one. The way I teach and use Bat now has simplified many of the procedures and makes them less stressful and more pleasant for the dogs. You can use Bat to rehabilitate fear, aggression, and frustration in dogs, and also to keep reactivity problems from developing in puppies. While Bat is not the only tool in my training toolbox, it is the foundation of how I relate to all dogs and help clients with puppy socialization and dog reactivity. I'm simply amazed at how much faster the dogs are progressing than they were before Bat, and even compared to Bat 1.0. Trainers around the world are seeing this with their clients too. If you have trained a dog before, you probably have techniques in your training toolbox that you really like. Most modern, force-free training is compatible with Bat in some way. That said, the Bat philosophy is less trainer-driven than you may be used to. It gives dogs maximal control of their desensitization experience. On the other hand, if you have trained by being the pack leader, given corrections with a leash or electronic collar, or alpha rolled your dog, then reading about Bat is going to feel sort of like switching from a flip phone to a smartphone. It may seem very different, or even uncomfortable, at first. The science of behavior change, called behavior analysis, is decades ahead of what is being shown on television, so you are not alone. It's very common for people to use correction-based techniques, even though we now have better alternatives. You may not be ready to get rid of that flip phone yet, and that's okay. Like the smartphone versus a flip phone, this style of training has very powerful possibilities that the old way does not have. But there is also a lot to learn, and it can be frustrating to switch technologies. I encourage you to put that old phone up on a shelf somewhere and try something new for a few months. Mark your calendar. For the next 3 months, be consistent about sticking to the philosophy in this book. Change is hard. You may have some setbacks along the way that make you want to revert back to what is more comfortable for you. If you get stuck or aren't sure whether a particular training habit you have fits with the philosophy, ask me questions through the Animal Building Blocks Academy, my online school. When your 3 months have passed, take a look to compare what you did before to what you are doing now, and assess what style of training you prefer. I am pretty sure that if you have picked up this book, you may be ready for change. You might be relieved to find that Bat is very different from a lot of other ways to work with aggression, frustration, and fear. Bat doesn't involve leash corrections, nor does it involve constantly feeding your dog. We use treats when needed because treats are effective and better for the dog and our relationship than leash corrections. But in my experience, lessons on how to socially interact are best learned through actual social interactions. We don't need to choose between actively reinforcing or punishing. Dogs have minds of their own, and we can use that to create behavior change. With Bat, we set the stage, then step back and get out of the way so the dog can learn from interactions within a safe environment. I wrote this book to help both people with their own dogs and for professional trainers who work with clients. Experienced trainers and shelter staff should be able to readily understand this book and use it to help dogs with reactivity issues. I highly recommend that trainers try Bat first with friends or neighbors' dogs, so you can experiment with the techniques more freely than you can with paying clients. For extra help along the way, join one of the discussion groups. See grishastewart.com. I also have a section at the end of this book for getting additional support. If you are not well versed in training, but still want to work with a puppy or a dog with fear or aggression issues, this book including the 4 appendices and the glossary, should be very helpful to you. However, getting personal support from someone who has experience is better than going it alone. In particular, if you have any safety concerns or any difficulty understanding your dog or predicting what your dog will do, I recommend reading this book and then hiring a certified BAT instructor